joining. As we discussed in the last meeting, as in I see less people from the last meeting. We are trying to change a little bit format in of these meetings, and this is kind of the first attempt on that approach. And this week, the topic that we selected last week was about file handling or upload or being the specific uploading and downloading files on a SaaS environment. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any point. I have done a little bit of research on it. And if there is a suggestion in the middle of the session or a question in the middle of session, I would prefer asking it there so that it can be clarified. And if if we are not able to complete the whole topic today, we might extend this for the next week also. So let me go with the normals. The first one is around, I still get this about participation. So we are doing pretty well. As I said earlier, one person is there. I'm happy to be spending an hour with that one person. No worries. And then about the registration, I keep on getting this question. There's a link to register every week. If you are in the meeting today and you want to be the default attendee and don't want to, register every week, just put your name and just say want to be default attendee, and then you don't have to register every week. I'll just add you as default attendee in future meetings. So anybody new here want to be a default attendee can just put their name and tag it as want to be default attendee. I'll add that into the list. So let's start with why we need to talk about file management. So in past in Dynamics Nav or even on Business Central 13 and 14, we have used file management code units for doing all file management stuff like downloads and uploads into a server or downloading to a specific path and things. But if you look at from the Business Central perspective, SaaS perspective, most of the functions are set as scope only for on-prem. Now, even if your customers or if the extension that you are building is targeted for on-prem, I would not be happy by reading on-prem because there is another thing called another function added in most of the on-prem scope function, which is tagged as is local file system accessible. And this becomes a little bit, and I'll have to mute someone. I'm hearing a noise. Okay. And I'm muting you. Okay. So it becomes a little bit difficult with Business Central 15 and higher because this function is local file system accessible, checks that what kind of client you are running. So if you want to use this function, just for example, client temp file name, then it will not run on Business Central 15 and higher on-prem version also, because it only runs if your client type is Windows, which is Business Central 14 or less. While developing extension, I would suggest to skip anything which is tagged as on-prem. Target your extension to be cloud ready so that even if you need to use the same extension for a different customer, which is on SaaS, you can use the same code base or same extension for them. So with majority of approx 80% of file management code unit kind of being not to be used in Business Central SaaS and even on-prem, as we see this is local file system accessible function. Then comes back something which was running behind the scenes earlier using the file management, which is streams. So let's talk about why streams. The Business Central, and I'll not blame SaaS or not say it's not available on-prem, but specifically the web client it doesn't allow you to access the client files directly. And the reason is because your client is running on a browser. So there is actually not a client that is getting installed on your system. So there is no client machine per se. Till the Windows client or the classic client was there, those were clients which were getting installed on your system, and they knew what your machine is, what are the drives into it, and things like that. At the same time, when we talk about SaaS, the server is also not yours, it's Microsoft hosted, so you can't just place files there on this on Microsoft server. So that's where streams comes into picture. Now the second extract is from an article which I will share at the end. There's a reference slide at the end, which talks about what a file object can do. So if you read the file data type in Navigator, these all are the functions which are available or methods which are available with the file. But only one method work in the SaaS world, which is upload into stream and download from stream in the SaaS world. You can still use others on-prem, but this one is the only function that you can use in the SaaS environment. So we'll be, working majorly into these functions while dealing with the file management. Now, the files which are being handled inside the database are either stored in the blob database, blob field, or in the media field, which was introduced somewhere in NAV 2017 or somewhere around that time. So if you see on your customer or on your vendor table, the fields which were blob earlier to store pictures are now converted to the media data type. So there are two ways to kind of handle it. Either you are doing it with media or you are doing it with blob. And I don't want to rush into things, so maybe today we'll only talk about blob, and then if time permits we may talk about media. But let's talk about the blob. So if you have worked in past with the blob fields, there used to be a table called temp-blob that still exists in Business Central 16 version, but it is marked as obsolete. And I guess in the last or previous meetings we have talked about not using temp-blob because it's going away. And I'm not talking about the field type, I'm talking about the table temp-blob. So the field type blob, we all know, or most of us know about it, that it's the maximum size that you can store on a blob field. It's 2 gigabytes and store text, pictures, and other user-defined type files that you want to store. And you can read and write to blobs using input and output streams, as we talked earlier. And then there are two functions, which is create AnyStream method and the create outstream method to read and write data into the blobs. So if you have any existing code with the temp blob table, try to replace it with the temp blob code unit now, which is available, I think, from Business Central 16. Might have to check when it was added, but start converting that code towards temp blob code units so that it's future ready and it will not break when temp blob table goes away, and it have all the similar methods and all. So let's see what's next. So we have talked about temp blob. The thing that we have talked about earlier is AnyStream and outstream. So it takes some time to kind of understand the difference between AnyStream and outstream. But if you look at the word that it is used, AnyStream means that you want to read the data in that stream object, and you get functions like read and read text with AnyStream data type, and we'll see using that today. And then the outstream is used to write to the stream object. So output to the stream and input from the stream. So we'll use these two functions with the blob data type today, and then we'll see if time permits. We may talk about media, otherwise we'll kind of park it for later. So let me open my VS Code. What is it? Okay. So it's an AL sample repo that I've created on my Git. I just wanted to have a place where I can keep it. So if you want to use it later, you can clone it, you can download the code, it's there. So that is my VS Code here. So let me go ahead and clone this repo that I get that code locally. PC open the folder. Okay. So let it get cloned. Okay, it's done. Okay. Download it. There is a workspace. Okay. So I have already created a table and all. I have not written any code. I thought we'll write it together here so that if there are questions, we can answer them at the same time. So I have added a table, and that table is file handling sample. There are certain fields on it. ID is a primary key. A file name, which will store the name of the file. File extension will store the file extension, who attached it, and when it was attached. If time permits, I just for the demo, I've also added a field called media into it, so that we'll see how it is different from the blob, if time permits. And then a field of blob storage, which is a file blob. So there are two different type of field as we talked earlier, blob and media. So we'll try to cover both of them in the example. The primary key of the table is ID, and on the insert of this table, the attached by is assigned with the user ID, and it has that with the current date time. And then there is an associated page with it, which is a worksheet page, which have the fields from the table, file name, file extension, attached by, attached date, and everything else is empty. Till here, everyone is with me, so that we start from here to write the code.
Yeah, good.
Yes, okay. Sounds good. So let me open my command palette now. Problems, so that if there is something, I'll see it. Okay, it says something. Okay, there are no symbols because I just cloned it. So let me see my launch.json. It's pointing to my server. Good. Let me download symbols. Okay. Symbols downloaded, and I'm good. It's missing a permission set. We'll add that. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is want to add an action to import the file. So let's start it from here. In the action area, let's add an action. We'll get a template from this, the action, and import, let's say, blob file. Because I have both blob and media. So I'll use that, and then it's missing on action and an object. Okay, so let's see. I need an image. It is a import. Find it, yes. And then there is a trigger already in place on action. So now what I want to do is I want to upload an image, whatever is coming. So there is a function which is upload into stream. You can upload a file into stream, and that's the default function. Let's see the parameters of it. It says dialog title, from folder, from filter, from file as var, and then a var of AnyStream. So start using this. And for dialog, let me add a variable, which is, let's say, I'll add as a global so that I can use it later. And I want to say, let's say, select file text. What is that? Select file text or file label and say select file. Okay. So that sets my first parameter on this, which is dialog text. Now the next parameter here is from folder. Now from folder, as I said earlier, works on on-prem CAL environment, because the web client cannot understand your folder structure or your machine as a client. So for SaaS or on-prem with Business Central, I'll keep the from folder as blank. And my next is from filter. I'll again keep it blank. And my next is from file name. Now, from file name is the file path that will be get stored because it's passed as var, that is selected by the user. So I'll have to give it a file path. As this parameter I need to specify. So let's add a file path. And that's a variable of type text. So let me add locally and path as of type text. Okay. And the last here is a AnyStream. So I'll have to add a AnyStream. So let's say in file stream of type AnyStream. So I'll add in file stream. Okay. Let me see what these errors are first, because I have enabled all the, says tooltip is required. Move everything. Tooltip. And it says select file text must have a suffix. Okay. Say label, say LBL. Set. So is unused. Okay. Yeah. And everybody understand, I guess we talked about in the past, why I'm getting all these weird errors is because I have a code cop enable here. All the code cops are enabled here. So it's kind of making my extension ready for SaaS. So any kind of mistakes that I'm doing, it will give me errors for every small thing. So here it expects 10, which I was going to put that. Okay. Now if the upload into stream, which returns a boolean, is successful, then I want to do something. And what is that something? I want to save that attachment from the stream into my table. So we talked about Waldo session in the last, and we should try to keep as much as our related code into the table, or if possible in a specific code unit. So let's say we'll create a function called save attachment log. Stream, and we'll give it a parameter that are coming as reference from it. But I would like to create this function on my table as usual. So let me come here and create a function here. Procedure, as it is outside available, I'll make it global. It is. And now here is what functions or what parameters I passed is a stream. So let's say stream all which is of type of AnyStream, AnyStream, and then file name which is of type text. Okay, let's see if there is something needed. Now, I want to store that stream into, as in the data that is coming into this stream, into my table. So how I can do that? Let's see what it is when I do a blob storage, my field blob. I can do a create out stream. You have seen for writing it, I need to create an out stream. So out stream, when you use the outstream, let's see what the parameters are. It says you need a outstream mandatory and then encoding is optional. So I'll have to set a outstream variable. Let's say outstream as outstream. And then we use that outstream here. But the data is here in that AnyStream and need to come to this. So I'll have to kind of copy that data from this stream to this stream. There is a default function for that, and copy stream. Let's see the parameter, which is starts with an out stream and then with an in stream. So stop me wherever it's confusing. Might be running a little bit fast, but let me know when it gets confusing. So now the data is copied into the out stream, and I can call my insert for this table so that it gets inserted. And the insert true is called. These two fields will auto get filled. The blob is getting filled, but then I have other fields also, which is file name and file extension. So let's think about it here now. My file name and my file extension are kind of on this file name, which is coming here. So what I'll do is I'll validate my file extension using one of the function in my file management, which is still available. Unit file management. Now my file management should use to get extension, and then it needs the file name from where you want to get the extension. Okay, data come here, and then is my file name that I want to store. And because I have already stored the extension, I just want to get the file name. I can get it again from file management, or get file name without extension, and then it needs a file path. File name. Now it says that the variable declaration is not in order. So yeah, there is a pattern that you need to keep in mind when you are declaring your variables. Here it is. Now my file name is of text 250, so it can maybe override this. So I'll blend this with my copy string so that it doesn't override that. That's string length of my file name. Okay. far so good. There is a bracket missing somewhere. There it is missing. I guess here. And then it says that the table 50,000 is missing the permission set. So let me find the permission set. Convey permission for current object. Here it is. Okay, so let's summarize what we have done before we publish this. Okay. Yes. On this table, we have added this function, and I have not done any, fancy stuff with, error checking and all. You can always do that as you want. But this is saving attachment from the stream, which gets a doc stream and the file name. It splits the extension and the file name, and then creates an out stream to write into this variable, and then copies the data from the AnyStream to the out stream, and then calls the insert. And that way, that gets entered. The other change that we have done is we have added an action called import blob file, and that will just call that table function. Okay, so let's publish this, and then we'll see if my Explorer is running. Yes. Okay. Okay. This is something simple. Let's see. Simple file handling. So that's the page once it gets loaded. Yeah, where we want to use it to attach the document that you want. So let's see, it should have an action somewhere. Import blob file. Now this select file message, or sorry, the pop-up is actually coming from, let's go back here, with this line, upload into stream. So if you remember, we have set this select file, you get that message here, and then you can choose the file. When you choose a file, it opens your folder that was last opened. It is, don't confuse it with access to your drive. Understand it. This is a browser function. So even if you have an option to upload a document on a web page, like your insurance or your bank, where you can pick a file from your system, it always open your last open folder, whatever it is. So it's not a, it's not like what you see on your Windows client, where you can define from which folder you want to pick it. It's a browser feature which automatically redirects you to the last folder that was open. So don't confuse it with the old one. So there's a text file with this is dummy text file for BC open discussion. Let's select that file. Once I select it, click open. It should add a record here of text file of type.txt. Attached it, and when it is attached, let's add a different file type, which is, let's say, an image file, this time PNG. Okay, I need to change my cursor to the next line, to the next record. Okay, code file, open discussion. So that comes in, that PNG is here. So now we have uploaded the file the way we wanted. Now the next thing that you obviously would like to do is to have access to that file which you just imported. So let's try to do that, and we'll publish it again. Okay, where I am here. Okay. So at this point, we'll add a action. Here again, the action, and let's say export the file. Copy these, put it here, change the export. Copy. Okay, I should remove most of the error. What is the error now? Okay, I'm doing that. Oh, so let's again, as we said earlier, let's create a function. Let's say download from blog. Let's add that function into our table. Now at this point, I want to download the whatever the content of that blob into my system. So let's see how we do that. So to do that, as if you remember last time we created an out stream, this time I'll have to create an AnyStream of the same on this based on the same field. So let's do that. Let's create an AnyStream. Then to create AnyStream will require an AnyStream variable. So let's create a AnyStream variable. Say file stream. That's AnyStream. And then assign this file stream here. That creates AnyStream. Okay. And then I can download from the stream, like we did upload in the page earlier. You can use a download from stream to download something from the stream. The parameters are more or less same. It says any stream which have the data, dialog text, to folder, to filter, and to file. Out of these, dialog title is not available again on a SaaS or on a web client environment. There's no to folder, as I said, because it's all browser. It will always download into your downloads folder. It's like a web page now. And to filter also goes as blank. So let's start using the AnyStream thing. So first is I created AnyStream, and my second, third, and fourth should be empty. Second, third, and fourth are empty. The last that I have is to file. Now, in case of the web client, the to file, whatever the name that you will save into the to file, will be given to the file which gets downloaded. So that becomes very important. If you keep it blank, then it'll take a random extension, random file name, and will download it as it is. So you need to be very specific what file name you want to give. So in that case, let's create a variable here, export file name that I want to give my exported file. Now I need to give it a name. So let's use our maths, and we'll do record.file name, whatever the file name that we have stored earlier, plus a dot file extension, and then dot file extension. So the file that will get downloaded will always get the name of whatever it was stored with the same extension that it was stored with. If it was an image, it will get the same extension, so that user can access it. Now, the value is stored in the blob, and all of us who have used blobs in the past know it that you need to do a calc field to get the value out of it. So let's do that. of storage. It calculates the field. It can happen that there is no data and then your download may give you an error. So you can always add if your blob storage has value. There are other functions like has value, length, and all. If it does not have the value, then you don't export anything. You just exit out of it. If there is something into that blob, then you create the AnyStream and you download from the stream. So far, so good. So let's publish this again. This time we'll try to download whatever we exported or imported earlier. Okay. Okay. So this is a text, and if you know the file is already there on my downloads from where we picked it up, it will create a file with same name with one added in the file name because that file already exists. A simple browser behavior that if you download a file twice, it appends 1 or 2 into the name so that it becomes unique. So when I download this file, it downloads that text file 1 because the text file already exists on the system. Let's open it. Set a me text file for this. If I download this, say export blob storage, it comes with a name appended with 1 because that file already exists on that folder. Any questions at this point before I think to move a little bit ahead out of it?
No, sir.
Looks good to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So before we get into media, because I consider media to be very specific for images and for videos. I don't consider, as in you can, I hope you can, store the PDFs or the text file into them. But I consider media to be very specific for images and videos if possible. And there is a different way they get stored into the system, which is different from blob. So like blobs are attached to your record. So if you add an image on the customer and it's a blob, then that table size will increase. Whereas in media, it works in a concept of a pointer, as in your record will just have a pointer and the data will actually get stored into the system tables. There's a table called tenant media where it gets stored. So that's the only difference between a blob and a media, that they, where they get stored and how that impacts the performance of it. So before we go ahead, I wanted to add maybe let me think, maybe a fact box into this page so that it show me, if it is a text file, what is the content of it so that I can see it here. I don't have actually need to download it. So that we also understand how you read and write, which is read from the file that is stored in that blob. So let's add a page. So this is my page number 50,000. Okay. So let me do this commit so that it creates the git directly. Okay. Added the permission. Added, modified this file. Also modified this file. Okay. AnyStream. Stream. Okay, so that got committed. Come back later. So let's add a page into it, and we will call it, and I'll have to call it, let's say I want to call it sample text. Page. Now there are different ways to create that page. Let's create a page of type 2001, and I'll call it. This will only be used to show the content of that blob if it is a text. And then because it is going to be a part of my main page, I need to make it as a part. Define area of the all. So stable is my this is stable. Stable is called as an ending sample. Okay. This is it. Okay. So from this, I just need one field, which I'll use to kind of show the text, and because it's a text, I would like to see the text value that is stored inside this. So let me create a variable maybe text value. I'll have that variable. That variable value of text. So this gets here. I don't want to see the caption of it, so simply the caption. I need tooltip to get this yellow error message go away. Let's fix the text. So now that's the only field that I need on this kind of fact box that I'm going to add on that. I'll remove the action because I don't need any actions into it. But I need to get the value in this text value text field so that that can be displayed into this area, right? And I don't need a group because this is just one property, so I can even remove this. Yeah. Okay. I need to fetch that value, and I'll fetch that value from the blob field that actually have the data. So I'll create a variable, create a procedure to kind of get text from blob. And this function returns the text. So let's say return val of type text. It will return something of type text to the calling function, and we'll decide what that will be. Okay. Now to get text out of it, as we did in the code earlier, we'll first have to do a fancy field on that, on my blob storage, that it calculates if there anything inside this or not. And if there is nothing on it, as we did last time, as value, then we will exit blank. There's nothing into it that I can read. If it has something, then we will do our create AnyStream as we did last time. And we'll say AnyStream. Okay, let's create this AnyStream. And AnyStream. And then I want to read the text that is stored in my stream. So I'm assuming, as I said earlier, I'm assuming that it is only for the text file that are there. I'll say read text, and then I'll assign that value to return value. What will happen with this is the read text will read the text and will put that value into this return value variable, which is of type text. And then this function will return the text content of the text file back somewhere here. So the best place to do it is on after get record. So let's add a trigger. On after get record. And I don't need a variable. I'll say my text value that will be visible to user comes from get text value from block. That prints that value into this page. Now I need to add this page into my main page so that it makes it simpler. I need to maybe give it a caption. So now what I need to do is I need to add this into your main page of type in the area called fact blocks. So this is my whole area, and inside this area there is a repeater and then there is a fact box. Okay. So here I'll add a part. The part name is sample text, which is adding a page called yes sample text. This is available on the application area as well. Caption of this is text, and then there is a link so that these two pages are connected kind of. With ID on this field of that table is equals to ID, which is my primary key. They both matches. At any point when I select a record which is of type text, this will then display the content of that text so that I don't need to download it just for reading the text inside that. So let me do the publish of it and let's see what happens with that. Okay, why that is not visible on the phone? I haven't enabled it. So if you see, you can see the text here on this fact box that we just added, and it only works when it is of type text field. It just says PNG because that's what you can read from that. Otherwise, it reads that this is a dummy text on that. So does that help somehow? Based on whosoever suggested this topic, I don't know who was that. Anybody there?
Yes, sir. A lot matter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, this was kind of the plan for today, more or less. As in, I wanted to cover media, but that will kind of
Hello, Saurav.
Hey, Jignesh, yeah.
Yeah. So, what you have done right now, can we have the sample this project so we can try in our
Sure,
business central
not
sandbox
a problem.
environment?
Not a problem. I will surely share that with you. Let me go back to slide before we end our
And,
time. Yeah.
and is there any possibility, like as you mentioned, that only text file we can see? Uh, is there anything like PDF or something that we can view by clicking on that?
I'll have to do some research, but I know AJ Kaufman, I guess
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the name.
yeah.
I've written
AJ
a
PDF
blog around.
viewers or something. They
Right.
AJ Kaufman is created, but uh, there is some. I try to do it, but uh, I could not somehow. I need to recheck.
Yeah, just check that. If you have problems, let me know. I have done it. Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
I'll help you with that. But here are the kind of the references where I did my reading, as in I knew some of it, but I didn't know all. As Jignesh just said, if you want all the code that I have written today, I'll just do the comment and it will be available here. You can always clone it and download the code for yourself. Want to read everything that we discuss about the streams, download and upload. These are MSD and links around it. I'll make sure they get added into the recording section. And if you are super interested, then there is a course from Microsoft, which is I guess 30-minute long or so, which talks about file management in Business Center. Okay.
Okay.
So before I forgot, let me commit this code so that after the meeting, I kind of close my laptop. So let me commit this one. This is what we changed on this. Yes. Okay. And this is a new page, I hope. So let me add that. Add a tag box. Let's commit this. And let me create a branch for today on this. On discussion on what is the date today? It's 19 September. Right. 19 September 2020. It's created, it's change here. So let me do my push. And does not exist. Okay, once this get uploaded, I will be sure that I have done that. So give me a minute so that I can upload it here. Okay. So yeah, BC Open Discussion 19-2020 has recently posted. Let me merge it into my master. BC Open Discussion. Let me see what changes are there. Role file, Backbox edition, log, sample text. Alright, all look good. Let's create the pull request.
Can you please share the link of this?
You just need to go to GitHub on my page, and this is the page kind of post sort of. And here the AL sample is the repo name. So I just committed whatever I've done. So all the code that we have done till today, it is available inside this. The table is here, the page is there. You can use it multiple ways. If you are not so much familiar with Git, then you can download the code from here. If you want to clone it, the way I did it, you just copy this URL, clone it on your VS Code. It will also download the same code into your VS Code. Okay. So this is a simple link, if that makes sense. I'll put that into recording if that helps. GitHub post sort of / AL samples. So this will have this all the changes that we have done or what we'll do in the next meeting if that's what we decide. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So that problem is of uh, the sharing of the link. So let's move to the last thing and this or open it for discussion. For the next week, as I said, can everybody go to this link and you'll see the topics that we thought that we'll do in upcoming weeks. 4 of them will be there. and just put your votes randomly. Put file management continued over there also, so that if you think that we need to cover the media section also, just choose that. So your votes are anonymous, no worries.
Saurabh,
Yeah,
I would just can I ask question right now?
just give it a minute. Let's get this
Okay.
over with. We'll keep it open. Yeah, anybody can go to that link. I don't see any votes here. If I put in chat, if it is hard to type that. Here it is. Here's the link of the chat. Anybody can access it?
I'm checking.
Yeah, I'm able to access.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And I'll wait for a while. We have a total of, I guess, how many? 11 members. It's seen 6 votes. So 10 members excluding you. Three more votes, I guess I'm expecting. Okay, two more. I don't know who's missing. Okay, so I'll let it run if people are still thinking what they want to continue. But okay, let's open it up for discussions. So maybe I'll go from top to bottom as we always do. And if we run out of time, don't worry, I'll stay to hear everybody's question if I can answer that. Great. Yeah, Mr. Bansal, you have something today?
No, no, no. I already voted. Thank you.
Thanks. Gaurav sir, anything for you today?
No, sir, everything okay. And I have voted for file management to be continued. The reason behind it, you have already said Microsoft has marked the temp blob to be deleted. But at the same time, Microsoft has created temp blob as a code unit.
Right.
And there is one more code unit, persistent blob.
Yes.
So these two code units Microsoft has introduced, and there are lots of functions that is providing to copy data into temporary storage that you are already said about this media too. So media is having that rich capability to store anything. So even single and multiple files at a time. So that we want to discuss in detail. So that is really it will help us a lot of help us a lot in part of integration. So when we talk about the file transfer in terms of image, any media, so these two code units, and there are other other code units and tables which helping that to copy from a local system and transferring to API or FTP or Azure storage, everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. As in, I don't know why, but I kind of forgot to talk about that code unit. As in, I had that in mind, but and I put it on slide, but I completely forgot to add that into the example. But yeah, that's a great suggestion. That we can surely talk about this. Not maybe next time, but next time. That's not a problem. Okay. Then we have Jignesh. You had something?
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
uh, about Docker artifacts, I have one question. Like, if I'm in my laptop, I need to download the Docker image and container setup, all these things. Then is there anything like system will be slow, like uh, due to that Docker container and image and all this?
Yeah, as in we need to understand Dockers from the perspective of that they have you ever created virtual machines on your system?
I try, but due to that previously, due to the long size of image, uh, it will take us time and somehow it break the connection and not able to download the image. That's why I could not complete that setup and configuration for Docker and container and image.
Yeah,
So
no, yeah, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, did you ever used, where is that? Let me see. That comes by default with Windows now. Virtual machines. Yeah. Have you ever used Hyper-V in past?
uh,
Create
no,
machines?
no,
Okay.
no.
So yeah, as an Hyper-V gives you an environment to have a second virtual machine on your system. And in the similar way, I'll relate it to Dockers from the terms of how much memory and speed they require. So like the minimum for Docker per Docker container that you're creating, Microsoft recommendation is at least 4 GB of RAM. So now you need to play it from this perspective that at least 4 GB RAM will be allocated to one Docker container when it is running. So it surely will have impact on your system performance based on how much resources your system have. Okay.
Uh, I have a system that 8 GB RAM, so it would be
Then you're
enough for.
comparing 50. No, I would not recommend it. As in, I have. Let me see how much I have. I guess I have 32 or something like that. And yeah, I have approx 32 gig of RAM. And I just have 5 or 4 Docker containers based on the projects that I'm working.
Okay, so
It slows it down for sure, but that's what it is. As in, you don't need a client installed on your system. You don't need anything if you have Dockers in place. You know,
yeah, yeah.
for developers, the development environment are getting thick. As in, if you have ever read the thick and thin concept on the computer architecture, the developer machines are supposed to be more thicker so that they can, you know, use all these features which are coming with changes into the product. So I'll surely recommend to use a high-end machine to use this. And to your other question about the internet speed with the Dockers and all, and you were not able to download the image, Artifact doesn't change that. The only thing it changes is that you don't have to download the whole big image every time. But for the first time, you'll have to download that big image. And then it downloads the delta artifacts whenever you try to create a container. But one time, a big image will get downloaded, which is based on your operating system. So it doesn't eliminate that step. If you are not able to do it in past because of the internet issues, that problem, my friend, sorry, but will still exist.
Uh,
That will not go away with this. As in, one time, at least one time, you'll have to download the one big image. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah. And just one more question.
go ahead?
Uh, I have sent you one report a development issue that sometime what happened like in report footer. Uh, we need to just add a blank text box to support the footer data text box to be placed as it is. What did you understand
Where
my
you
point?
send it?
Yesterday,
On which email, as in?
MVP Saurav Dhyani.
Oh, so yeah, don't use it as an I. That's why
Okay,
I'm getting confused. Always use this one. This is my primary email. I check it all the time.
okay, no problem.
This makes it easier. That
Yeah,
I use for hosting these sessions because I get a Teams on
okay,
that account.
okay, no problem.
So prefer this because I normally don't visit that email. I just use that account to set up these meetings.
Okay,
Okay. So if you send it here, it will be more easier on this email. And
yeah,
send it. I'll surely have a look and let you know what
okay,
I
no
know.
problem. Yeah,
Okay. And yeah, guys, feel free to drop. We are already past time, but I'm going to talk to everybody. And if you want to stay, that's okay. Jyotsna, you have something for us today?
No, nothing.
And I have put your name on one of the topics as we talked about last week. So let me know whenever you are ready. No pressure. And
Yes, I'm
we
ready.
can schedule you as a presenter next time whenever you want.
Okay.
Kiran, do you have anything for us today?
No, sir. I have voted already for file management.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey, Leban, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for your help and thanks for the great work you're doing.
Welcome.
Mhm.
Any other questions for today? Okay.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, man. Manish, anything else, sir?
Uh, sort of, my question is not related to the file management.
Mm-hmm.
It's related to ADCH. I was just going through those posts from ADCS, but what I need to know that how actually the ADCS will be helpful to scan a physical inventory count. So
In where?
warehouse
On version?
in
Version?
Business Central 16
Okay. No, on-prem SaaS.
SaaS.
I'll have to research around it because the way ACH works, and I know only about on-prem because I haven't used it on SaaS. The way ACH works is ADCS. It's not ACH, I guess, right? ADCS,
Right,
you're saying.
right.
Right.
ADCS.
There is a configuration file that need to be modified so that it can talk between scanner and nav. Okay, now that configuration file resides on the service tiers.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how that will work in the SaaS environment. I'm pretty sure Microsoft would have searched for it or had a way around it. But there is a web service that you create for it, which works with your scanner and your Dynamics nav.
Right. Till web services, I have checked the document. I've gone through the document, but after that, how it will going to work, I'm not aware about because I just need to know the basic how actually it works, how it communicates from web services to a scanner because we need something on the scanner to communicate. Scanner might be on an Android or maybe on iOS. So I am completely blind how these two communicate.
So do you have used it in nav? Let me ask
No,
that.
no, it's totally new for me. I haven't
Oh,
used.
This Dinesh have written one article, I guess. Let me see if I find it. ADCS. Yeah. So let me see if this helps. I never wrote around it, as in I use it for so long, as in, but never wrote about it. So there is this file called BDS100 plugin, where you define the web service, and then
Okay.
it. So let me see if we have given some configuration. So yeah, while installing, you need to choose your ADCS to be part of it, and once it is, and for ADCS there is a user, which is a different user called ADCS user in your Dynamics Nav. I would first try it on Dynamics Nav or Business Central on-prem, so that you understand the whole mechanics of it. Test it out with this. Once you have connected, given it a password, that get attached to a warehouse employee. One warehouse employee will have one ADCS user, and this was all base nav or base
Okay.
setting. No customizations on it. Once it get attached there, then you enable ADCS on your location, I guess, and then there is a mini form which comes. Some of them come by default with Microsoft, like log on script, log off a script, and then there are other for physical inventory and all,
Mm-hmm.
and some code inside it. That what will happen when somebody tries to call it like this. We create a web service for it of this code unit.
Right.
Okay, and then I'm pretty sure you need to change a file where this BTS100 plugin is placed. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. We have given that example. In your that BTS100 plugin, you will have to end that endpoint of that web service into it. And the port number. Once you have done that, then he's using the telnet, but you can also use the connector. You give the host name and the port number that you have defined here, and then start talking to your, ask for your username, password, and then based on all the mini forms which are available, you will see all the options. As in whatever the mini form is available, you will see that options.
Okay.
Yeah, I have used it in Nav, but that's an interesting question. How Microsoft is trying to play it with Business Central SaaS. I haven't used that or research around it, but I'll surely try. If I find something, I'll let you know.
Sure. So, Saurav, can you just post that link to message chat, that URL?
Okay, sure. I'll just do that. Yeah, there are other great content also if you want available on the around CDCS.
Thank you, Saurav.
Okay, and then Nishant, anything for us today?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Alright. Tanya, I see your hand risen and you went to top, so that's why I guess you stay in the middle.
Hi, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
I would like to add my thoughts to ADCS as Manish sir just asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the basically ADCS we have been using it, and if it's the first time we are using it from Nav, we are using it in Nav in 2018 we are using it, and but in SaaS because we are also as in planning to move ahead with Business Central SaaS version. So there has I've been doing R&D since past week on ADCS as so there has been this link I would like to share with you, and this is basically their inputs and whatever people across have thought about ADCS. And obviously, the future of ADCS would be, I guess, Power Apps. They are introducing it from here in this link. They have just told that they will, it's not possible on SaaS, but for the Business Central, yeah, they on-prem you can change the base app.
Okay.
I also yesterday or day before yesterday I posted on Yammer. If you are aware of it, I posted this question of Yammer to how to customize the mini forms in that. So many of them, whosoever across working on ADCS, they also suggested me if you want to customize mini form. I'm talking about Business Central on-prem right now. You
Mm.
can customize it through a base application. But SaaS, this link I have just sent, this what they are using. I guess they'll be moving ahead with Power Apps.
Okay.
Yeah, and moreover, I can also share that Yammer, whatever people are suggesting. This is the link.
Yeah, but I would not go and modify the base app because that puts your client on a completely different path. As in, I would rather create a custom page
Okay.
of mini forms
Mhm.
and then change the setup on it.
Change the
Because
setup. Okay.
as in, mini forms are configurable, right? You can define what they are in your in.
So
So like
yes, there are no ADCS components in BC16. I explored this yesterday. So I don't know how we're gonna communicate with the telnet, this emulation thing, everything going on through the telnet.
even on-prem, there is nothing.
No, Business Central 16 they don't have the ADCS components. Business Central 13 they have. I don't know about 14, 15, but
14 had it. 14 had it.
they have it.
Yeah, because 14 was CAL, right? So there's no problem with that.
So I have been working on 13, so 13 I could see those components. But in BC 16, even if we customize, yesterday I was thinking, even if I customize the mini forms, okay, I'll customize it through the base app, I'll change that. But the components are not available in BC16. So this I came across this group of conversation, this trail going on this link I just shared. So I don't know how many people are gonna work, and this more of them are really inclined towards power apps or I don't know exactly the tag says it what is actually the future of ADCS, right?
So Tanya, just one query over here. So they are planning to put ADCS on Power App, or they have any default feature of ADCS on Power App?
No, no, they are planning to move ahead ADCS through Power Apps and
Okay,
the scanning thing and every scanning and but yeah, scanning is the scanning thing. They'll be doing it with the APIs, web APIs through that what do you call that? The web APIs for your either on the Android version or the iOS version.
okay,
Yeah, what I could because from past 1 week I have been doing R&D over this ADCS. Even we are stuck at this point that how is Microsoft gonna work move ahead with ADCS. SaaS people are saying that SaaS will not be fully functional on the ADCS won't be fully functional on the SaaS version. But for then I checked on the on-prem they don't have the components. So I believe
okay,
this Power Apps would be they'll integrate with CDS and the web apps, web APIs. I think that there will be something. I don't know. There's cooking something in Microsoft definitely regarding this, but they'll
okay,
Right.
okay.
Good to know that. That's such more on it. Okay, anything else,
Yeah,
Tanya?
thanks, Tanya.
yeah, no sir, but I just like to put my thoughts to so yeah.
Why not? No, it's super
And
informative.
one more question can I
Like
ask?
it. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is that this file management, we also have this functionality, the basic the default functionality on Business Central, I guess, right? You can attach the files in any your documents, any document, PO, SO,
Right.
right? So I was figuring this out that what is the difference? What basic thing we, what more functionality we can add to this to Microsoft, which has been doing this on document attachment. They have their
No,
own document attachment. Now we are also doing this file management. So what
no.
more?
The idea of this demo was to not mimic Microsoft behavior.
Yeah,
The idea of it was that if you have to do any file management, what kind of code segment you will write.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. The second thing which I'm still struggling with is this all looks very cool while writing this code and getting these file uploaded and all. But at the end of the day, all these files are getting stored inside the database.
Inside the
Inside the database, right?
okay.
So
Yeah,
when they are getting inside the database, then you need to think about how much space they will consume in your database.
right, right. Very right.
If you upload 10 attachment in one purchase order,
Mm-hmm.
means and each of size of let's say 100 MB,
Mm-hmm.
then document itself, whatever the size of the record plus 800 MB of that attachment. And when you are on SaaS, then you also think about how much space your database is consuming, because there is a kind of a free database size limit. So you don't actually want to use what I have shown you or the document management. I would not prefer, because it increases the customer database size. Import it either on a blob or in a media, it goes and takes some space in your database. But this was just an example to understand how you will write those code segment if at any point you need to write something where you will have to do file handling.
Yeah. We can add more functionality to this as well. We can upload it on any server, I guess.
That's what Gaurav was saying, and I would be interested to maybe talk to him and then maybe come up with the part.
Even on the SharePoint, I believe that could be a, if for space, right? For
There
space,
are different ways, as in you can use as your functions around it, you can use as your blob, you can use SharePoint, things like that. But that's what is need to understand, because the second thing that I'm struggling with right now is, where is my business central? Is it maybe here? Let me see. Yeah, and this, because I deal majorly with upgrades, so this becomes a very big problem for me with business central. Not only SaaS, but even on prem, is when you come to any page. Let's say you go to customers. In the past, in Dynamics Nav version, you are always able to attach links to the document, right? Now, when you click on the link, it gives you a link address, which cannot be your local file system or a shared drive on your network. It should be a URL. Now, I can add a link of a website. Let's say if I add my login. Then if I click on it, it will navigate to that particular website. But if I add one more link which says, let's say, assume that I have a shared folder and I'll say my file.text, it will not be able to understand this, because this is on my local network, which makes sense from the product perspective. But it doesn't make sense when a customer is upgrading from an on-prem version or from a CAL version, in-house client version, to a web client version, because all the record links are stored in this format. And some customers want them to be there. I cannot suggest them to upload them into the database. That makes sense till they are on-prem, because the space that will be utilized it on their server. But eventually, if they plan to go to SaaS, this becomes an issue if I use the document attachment that we are talking about. So this is something that I am researching right now. That how you actually translate this to a domain shared library. That if I have a domain where I have a shared library, system is able to read my directory and I want to store it there. And then how does that impact an upgrade project? Because this becomes a huge problem. And these kind of links exist with every customer. You'll see them in all the cases. And that's the problem that I'm trying to tackle right now. Because it tries to open it on a web browser when you click on it. And that becomes a problem. So, look, I was talking to Gaurav, I guess, last week. We talked around, can we use OneDrives or Google Drives? But then we also need to think that they also come up with a limit. How much is the limit of that Google Drive or OneDrive that you want to store those documents? So, yeah, as in file management has been completely changed, and that changes the whole game. But okay, if there's nothing, I guess we are way past our time, maybe half an hour more, but I don't mind that. So if there's nothing, then let's call it for a day and enjoy your Sundays. And next week, if I can work on file management continued, I'll surely talk to God once. We'll try to use that. Otherwise, I'll surely present something on introduction of automated testing. That's kind of easy for me to kind of give an example around it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a lot.
Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.